Welcome to Homestead Gardening in the Texas Gulf Coast. I'm Kristen Howard, and today I'm going to show you how I Bokashi compost at home more affordably. The first step in Bokashi composting is acquiring EM bran that has been inoculated by essential microbes in order to have an effective Bokashi system. EM bran is pretty expensive to buy, but you can buy it online. If you want a more affordable way of composting that you can do long term, making your own inoculated bran is the way to do it. You can actually make bran just by picking up a few things from the feed store, a few things from the grocery store, and purchasing EM microbes, which are readily available on the internet. Most homemade EM bran inoculations use this product, EM1, and it's going to contain all of the essential microbes that you actually need to make the inoculated bran. I considered making my own EM or essential microbes at home, but I found that it was not more cost effective, actually more costly, time consuming, and the results were really variable. I get a guarantee with this product that it's going to have everything I need to have my Bokashi composting system working at its finest. In order to inoculate bran and create EM bran for your composting system, you actually need to buy the bran. Now, this can be found at your feed store very affordably in large bags. If you don't need that much product, you can buy it at a higher cost in the grocery store, but you will be able to find it in your local grocery store as well. If you're a baker, you're very familiar with this bottle. This is molasses, and you're going to need this as well to inoculate your bran. For this procedure, I recommend that you purchase distilled water instead of using your home tap water, which may contain chlorine or other contaminants. If you're not purchasing your bran at the store, it's a little hard to measure how much you need, but you're going to need a kitchen scale to make sure that you get that pound weight correct. The first step is going to be measuring out my bran, and I've already done this in this bowl. This is going to be approximately 1 pound, and our entire recipe is going to be based off of this 1 pound measurement. For this recipe, we are using 1 cup of water to 1 pound bran, and you can manipulate this in any way that you'd like. If you're using more bran, obviously you need more liquid. One thing I've noticed with this recipe, which may vary from climate to climate, is that the liquid to bran ratio is a little bit off. I've noticed my bran is a little bit too dry. One way that I'm going to manipulate that today is either to make more liquid or take out a scoop of my bran so that I'm working with a little bit less up front and I can always add this back in later. For this recipe, a 1 pound of bran to 1 cup of water will yield a half tablespoon of molasses and a half tablespoon of EM microbes. Make sure you're mixing this liquid really well and getting all of the molasses off of the bottom where it likes to pool and stay. We want to make sure that our mixture is not too wet or too dry. So we're going to actually start off by reserving some of our liquid to make sure that we're not too wet. If you do find that your mixture is too wet, you can always add more bran. But if you didn't purchase enough bran to do that, reserve your liquid instead. Now just mix with your hands until the mixture begins to absorb all of that liquid. If you squeeze your mixture and it's falling apart, you need to add more liquid. Hopefully that's the liquid that you've already reserved. If not, you can make another batch of this and add some more in. Now I've used all of my liquid and all of my bran, and I'm finding that my mixture is falling apart a little bit. What I'm looking for is something that stays together just a little bit more instead of immediately falling apart without water squeezing out of the mixture. As time goes on, this bran is going to absorb more liquid, so it's worse if you are drier than you are a little bit wet. And I've actually made up another batch of this liquid so I can carefully add a little bit more until I have the right consistency. It took about an extra half cup of this mixture to get the consistency that I'm looking for, but we're much closer and I'm pretty happy with this. I think we're ready to put it in a bag. This bran is going to sit in a plastic Ziploc bag with the air squeezed out of it for 2 to 3 weeks. In 2 to 3 weeks, the best way to find out if your bran is correctly inoculated is to smell it. I know that sounds crazy, but if you smell a sweet, yeasty smell, you've succeeded. You smell something foul, you might have some bacteria in the blend and it needs to be thrown out. Now, if you're trying to inoculate bran at home and be more conservative and resourceful, You may not be comfortable using a plastic Ziploc bag like this to do this process. However, whatever you choose to reuse, whether that be a plastic grocery sack or something similar, you want to make sure that you have something that can seal, let all of the air out, and prevent that air from getting in, and any other bacteria or issue that your area might have that will affect or infect rather this bag. So in Houston, where I have a lot of fungal issues outside and a lot of humidity and a lot of problems that come with that, even though this is going to be stored in my home, I want to reduce any problems that might happen. Additionally, if something goes wrong with this batch, it's going to be very smelly, and I don't want that in my home. In order to make sure that pests and pets don't get into this bag, I also want to reduce any smell from coming out of the bag, and this Ziploc is going to do the trick. This is also going to allow me to transport this easily, give this away easily, and it'll allow somebody else to store this product easily as well.